So Death of the Digital Audience is mainly based on a theory that exists in the theater space, and it's essentially an exploration of that theory known as Death of the Audience. Death of the Audience is a thought that began in the theater space, and it asks for humanity to be brought back to the audience. And it asks that the audience has a sense of compassion that maybe they didn't have when the lights were up. So when the lights come down on the theater, it allows people to exist beyond their bodies, beyond their humanness. All the problems, all the flaws, all their personal issues kind of go away. And it allows them to view the being on stage, the actors, the characters, in this new sense that has a level of compassion that they were unable to achieve before. Because now they don't have to view that character or that actor as this person walking next to them on the street, because they don't exist in that space anymore. They are above and beyond this space in this sort of subhuman way, in this godly sense that they're able to look down and have this sense of compassion and understanding for these characters that in the day-to-day life would probably scare them or make them uncomfortable in this way or that. But because they are not being perceived by the characters, they're allowed to be this unperceived viewer of these characters' actions, and thus are able to come above their humanness and view these characters in a way that just allows people to observe others with this absolute certainty that they themselves are not being observed in turn. And, it goes on to say that we are a compassionate species, and as such, we do not pass this divine judgment, and instead, we are able to show this new level of compassion when we're presented in this godlike sense where we are above it all. So then the question and the main conundrum of this theory then becomes, okay, but then the lights come back on, and we are returned to our human forms, and you are now presented with these same characters, these same people that you are able to feel this compassion for on stage, but now they're real people in your real life, and you can see these people everywhere. And so how do we exist with this level of compassion and that level of understanding while also being perceived in turn? By killing the audience, we are then able to give birth to this new type of person that is suddenly aware of his or her own temporary non-existence and the thoughts that characterize the world that they already exist in. And the death of the audience could potentially create this person that could extend the sublime non-judgment of the darkened theater to the less than sublime world in which we live in our day-to-day lives. So then my exploration became, let's take this very physical theory in the theater space and let's apply it to the new digital market that we are working in today. Then we could compare the compassion of the theater audience to the misconduct of the internet one. And because of this extra layer, this actual wall between the content creator and their audience, they've taken the screen to hide behind as they send these awful and these threatening messages to these creators and to their work. And how over time and with this change in the audience, we see two very different cultures appear. And how a creator who does both these live performances and this digital work have to deal with both of them. The main group that I think of when I think of this conundrum is a group known as StarKid Productions. And StarKid Productions makes both live theater performances and then also creates digital content out of these media performances. They're known for doing comedy theater and producing original musical productions. And so they go and they perform these productions in front of a live audience, and you see in the live audience the way that people just love them. They're having the times of their lives in these performances. You can hear the feelings and the emotions of the audience as they laugh and cry with the characters and enjoy the performance that they're receiving. But then they take these productions that they make and they post them live on YouTube. And then on YouTube, they also have this huge following because they have created such high quality work. And yet you go into the comments of any StarKid's production on YouTube and you just see vile comments. And they're across the internet, they're on Reddit, they're on TikTok. You go to any sort of social media platform where this group has a presence and you just see vile and hatred and awful comments. And there's this level of, okay, because you're in person with the creator, you're not going to say this to their face. But then why do we assume that it's okay to say this online? Because they still see it. They can still see these comments when they're posted online. So why do we assume that that is okay when it's not okay to say it to the creator's face? That level of disconnect, I believe, is caused by the fourth wall. The fourth wall is another theory that is shared between cinema and theater, and it's this imaginary barrier that exists between the audience and the actors. So when a character breaks the fourth wall, it is in essence a way that that character is able to kill the audience. Because by breaking the fourth wall, they're in a sense of saying, hey, I'm here, you're here, acknowledge me, because we are both here present in this space. And that is the antithesis of death of the audience. That kills the audience and in a way brings them back to life and saying, oh, I am here and I have to acknowledge the fact that I am here right now. And that fourth wall in cinema is even stronger than the fourth wall in theater because now you are no longer able to be physically present with the audience. It's not only a wall, it's now saying this camera is here and I am here. And there is a world of difference between where these two places could be. It's no longer this invisible barrier that we pretend to acknowledge exists. It is now, there is a gap between where the creation is being produced and also where the audience is here watching it. And I believe the widening of that gap is one of the things that has allowed the audience to become this hatred-fueled machine. So to kill the audience of a digital media is quite difficult because they cannot be revealed by simply lifting the lights or turning and facing them. So to create the death of the digital audience, one would have to find a way to break the barrier between the digital landscape and the people sitting behind the screen. Only when the fourth wall is broken in such a way that is truly felt and understood by the audience, then can compassion and understanding be brought back to the audience, and they too can be brought back to their bodies. Ow, that hurt my bones. That's a fun one though.